Hello and welcome. My name is Tracy, and today we'll go through the setup process for a Posemesh domain server, relay server, or both on one machine. Domain servers host and serve data from domains such as the poses of portal QR codes, walkable areas, occlusion volumes, and other spatiosemantic data about the physical space. They enable persistent augmented reality experiences and utilities that are tied to physical locations, like AR galleries, digital post-it notes in space, or indoor navigation. Relay servers are for low-latency synchronous communication, which is essential for real-time spatial collaboration and shared AR experiences like games. If you're running a domain server or both on one machine, it's best to have at least 1 to 2 GB of RAM and 30 GB of disk space. For a relay server only, 0.5 gigs of RAM will do, and you don't have to worry about the storage capacity. For both, you'll need a stable internet connection, a publicly accessible static IP address, and a domain name that points to that IP address. Additionally, you'll need to stake 9,000 Alki tokens for each server you wish to run. Staking is required because this represents your on-chain reputation. The staked amount acts as a deposit or collateral to ensure good behavior in a trustless protocol, so it may be slashed in case of bad behavior. For domain servers, good behavior means ensuring 24/7 uptime so that domains hosted on the server are always accessible. In the near future, we plan to add redundancy features to domain servers, but for now each domain's data is hosted on only one domain server, so we ask that you please take stewardship of the data seriously. This is also why there's a stake withdrawal period for domain servers, meaning if you request to withdraw your stake, domain owners who have their data on your server can be notified and will have time to back up their data. The uptime requirement for relay servers, though also ideally 24/7, is less strict because no data is lost when a relay server goes offline apart from that of any ad hoc AR sessions it happened to be hosting at the time. The main things to avoid with relay servers are reliability issues like going offline and coming back online often, since each time a relay server goes offline, any session that was running on it will be interrupted, leading to poor user experience. Okay, let's get started with the domain server first. Step 1 is to go to the console at console.posemesh.org and create an account. Since I already have one, I'll just log in. Go to the domain servers page, click Staking, read through the warning, and connect your wallet. A note about security here. Both domain and relay servers need your wallet's private key for authentication and verification, and it will stay on your machine where we won't have access to it. But still, for security reasons, it's best to use a wallet that doesn't have any funds in it other than the Alki tokens you'll be staking and a little bit of ETH for gas. Also note that you'll need a unique wallet for each domain server instance and each relay server instance. Make sure that you're on base mainnet and have Alki tokens in your wallet already, or I think you won't see this stake button. There are 2 types of domain servers, dedicated and public. Dedicated servers are for use by your own organization only, so you'll only be hosting your own domains. This is mainly for those concerned about data privacy. The staking requirement for dedicated servers is 2,000 Alki tokens, and you won't earn rewards from it. Public servers will show up in the community domain servers list for anyone to use, and you'll earn rewards when people host their domains on your server. The staking requirement for public servers is 9,000 Alki tokens. I want mine to be public, so I'll change this and hit stake. You'll need to approve the Alki token first, wait for it to be confirmed, and then stake it. When that's done, go back to the domain servers page and click Create Domain Server. The redirect URL is optional. This sets the default redirect URL of portal QR codes in the domains hosted on the server, but is usually overridden by the domain owner anyway. So I'll just click Create Domain Server again and copy these credentials. Make sure to safely store these credentials before you close the modal, since you won't be able to see it again. I'll save it to notes for now. Staking for relay servers is done from a different page, dashboard.posemesh.org/staking. It's best to use a different wallet here than the one you used for the domain server. Connect your wallet, again making sure you're on base mainnet and your wallet already has Alki tokens in it. All relay servers have a 9,000 Alki token staking requirement, so just go ahead and approve it and stake it. Now that both servers have been staked for, let's move on to the actual server setup. If you're running this on AWS, Azure, or Google Cloud, you can refer to my earlier videos on how to create and connect to the VM instance on each of those cloud providers. Just make sure to up the RAM to at least 1 to 2 GB and add at least 30 GB of storage capacity if you're running a domain server. After you get the VM's public IP address and have finished installing and setting permissions for Docker, the rest is out of date, so please stop following those and return to this video. If you're running the servers on your own hardware, just make sure to install Docker first. The easiest way is to go to docker.com and download the desktop app for whatever operating system you're on. I'm using an old MacBook that already has Docker installed, so the first thing I should do is get my IP address, which I can do from whatismyip.com. Please make sure this is a static IP address. You may have to contact your internet service provider to get one. Of course, if you're using one of the cloud providers, just copy the public IP address of your instance. Also check that your firewalls and port forwarding rules allow incoming traffic to ports 80 and 443, which are for HTTP and HTTPS respectively. After you've copied the IP address, you'll need to configure a domain to point to it. If you have your own domain already, feel free to use that and just create an A record in your DNS settings for a subdomain that points to the IP address. I already did this previously, as you can see here. If you don't have your own domain, you can get a free one from freedns.afraid.org. Once you've created an account here, go over to subdomains and add a new one. Name the subdomain, choose a domain from the dropdown, and paste the public IP address in the destination field. Then just complete the CAPTCHA and click Save. Depending on whether you want to run a relay server, a domain server, or both, you'll download a different Docker Compose file. You can do this directly from GitHub. The one for relay only is at a repo named Hoggle, since this is the old name for relay servers, and the download button is here. For domain servers or both, you'll get the Docker Compose file from the domain server repo. docker-compose.yml is for domain server only, and docker-compose-allinone.yml is for running both on one machine. You'll also need this client maxbodysize.conf file. Since I'm showing you how to set up both servers today, I'll go for docker-compose-all-in-one, which has everything that's in the individual Docker Compose files. You can either download it from here, or get the link to the file by clicking on this button that says raw. I'll get the link since I'm going to use terminal for the rest of the setup, so that the steps will be the same for Mac or a Linux VM. I believe command prompt is the Windows equivalent, or you can use WSL too. To download the file, I'll use the curl command and just paste in the raw file link. All the commands will be in the description below for you to copy and paste. As mentioned, we also need to download the client maxbodysize.conf file in order to run a domain server. We also need to save the private keys of the associated wallets in the same directory. In MetaMask, go to Account Details and get the private key. Make sure you don't share this private key with anyone since they can use it to access your wallet. Once you've copied the private key, go back to terminal and create a domain server private.key file. Nano is a text editor that's available by default on Mac, Linux, and WSL, but if you're on Windows not using WSL, the Notepad works just fine. Paste in the key, and then save by pressing Ctrl-O, Enter, and then Ctrl-X to exit. Let's do the same for the wallet associated with the relay server, which we'll name hoggle-private.key. If you're running a domain server, you'll need to generate a secure password for the database. You can do that with any password manager app, or just generate one in the command line and copy it. Now open the Docker Compose file you downloaded earlier. In my case, it's docker-compose-allinone.yml. For the domain server, paste in the password for Postgres password, as well as here in the ds Postgres URL line. If you're running a public domain server, make sure to change DS operation mode to public. Now replace the example URL with your domain for virtual host. Let's encrypt host. and ds public URL. Be sure to keep the HTTPS prefix on this last one. Copy the DS registration credentials you saved earlier from the console into this line. That's it for the domain server configuration. For the relay server, again replace the example URL with your domain for virtual host. Let's encrypt host and Hoggle public endpoint. I'll change the end of this path to relay, and the same for virtual path, just to keep up with the new naming convention. Now save the file, again by pressing Ctrl-O, Enter, and then Ctrl-X. If you're only running one type of server, you can start the Docker containers by running docker-compose-up-d. However, if you're running both, you'll have to specify the file name like this: docker-compose-f docker-compose-allinone.yml up-d. The first time you run this, it will take a while to download the Docker images and you'll see more happening here, but since I previously downloaded them already, it just creates and starts the containers. Assuming you did everything correctly, you should be all set now. To verify, we can check the logs. Let's first get a list of all the containers that are running with the command docker-ps, but spell Docker correctly. You can get the last 20 lines by specifying --tail20, and then just use the name of the Docker container or the container ID. In the domain server logs, you should see successfully registered to DDS, which is the domain discovery service. Next, let's check the relay server logs. Here you'll see Hoggle is successfully registered to HDS, and 0x smoke messages, which are the health checks. And that's it. Hopefully everything's working fine, but if not, you can check the logs of the other Docker containers for errors, and make sure ports 80 and 443 are open, which you can do at portchecker.co. As expected, both 80 and 443 are open from my IP address. For those of you running a domain server, why not create a domain and host it on your own server? Then you can use our McKenna app to decorate your domain with text notes, images, videos, 3D assets, and NFTs. Back in the Posemesh console, come over to the Domains page, click Create Domain, and you should see your own server listed at the top of the domain server drop-down list. For the full domain setup guide, go to alkylabs.com/domains. If you need help with anything we covered today, please join us on Discord and we'll try to help you out in the Node Operators channel. There will be a link to Discord in the description. Even if everything went well, please join our Alky Posemesh community anyway to keep up with the latest updates. That wraps up this tutorial, and thank you so much for participating in the Posemesh.